This all started February earlier this year when a girl named Maddie Hart took to TikTok to make, in her words, a silly, cheeky video. Let's watch.
What's a piece of trauma that you have that's funny? It has to actually be funny. I'll go first. My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued amateur breakdancing.
That is not true. First, I can see that as a 5-year-old, Maddie would see her dad as having abandoned the family. One day I was living there, the next day I wasn't. And that will look like abandonment to a child. But married couples do get divorced about half the time in America. And I was just living a mile or so down the street in LaGrange, Illinois. We just weren't living under the same roof. Now, about not paying medical bills, that's just not correct. Here was the financial arrangement of the divorce. Maddie's mom, my ex-wife, got $2 million at the get-go, out of the gate, a lump sum payment. Plus, I was paying her $18,000 per month in child support and alimony. And of course I paid health insurance and out-of-pocket medical costs. I also put $600,000 into the kids' college fund. In all, I paid out about $5 million to my ex-wife to cover costs for her and the kids.
After that video, after Ben's video, for a while was kind of it, right? It was a he said, she said, left to draw our own conclusions, kind of fell off to be consumed by other viral trending topics until March 20th when Maddie went on a new podcast. But before we get into all that, we're going to take a quick break to hear about today's sponsor, Temu, and thank you so much for understanding that sponsors help so much with the growth of this channel. I am very excited. We got a Temu package here. So Temu was kind enough to not only give me a free tablet, which we'll look at, but they also let me choose up to $100 of tech items off their website. And one thing that I learned very quickly, there is so much shit you can get for $100 off of Temu. So this is a phone holder, 3-pack of USB-C fast chargers with the added length, baby. 4 smart LED bulbs. Amazon Fire Stick compatible remote. Yo, I got an entire drone. Little styluses for your tech. A cordless car cleaner. Little mini birch tree to light up. New wireless earphones. Been needing these. How does this work? Oh, there we go. Alright, and then finally the package that they really were excited for me to open. The Tab 10 Lite. This is a nice weight. This is a nice size. Like, I'm not going to get overwhelmed with this being too big to work on, and it's also not going to be too small to where my legally blind ass cannot see what's on here. Getting your tablet ready. Ooh wee. Again, this is the Pritom 10-inch Android 12 tablet. Now on Temu for only $27.49. This tablet is compatible with both the Android store and Google Play for any of your favorite apps there. And for being less than $30, I was incredibly impressed with how smooth this thing handles. Considering Temu is having a site-wide sale of up to 70% off, I can only imagine how much more stuff you can get there. Additionally, all shipping is free from Temu locations, and all returns are free up to 90 days. So make sure you download the Temu app in my description box down below and check out some of the items that I recommend down there too. Anyway, let's get back to the video. And when I tell you guys that this is one of the most unhinged podcasts I have ever listened to.
Okay, so you have been very brave recently because a lot
so
has been
brave.
going on with you online slightly. Would you say?
You're so brave to post a very dramatic version of the allegedly worst parts of your life to the internet and then have people respond to your public video. It's so brave of you.
Yeah, I would say that I'm, stuff is always happening with me online. There's a lot of internet friction with me, sort of.
Sorry, I really hate to keep pausing. It's just that every time there's like a classic narcissistic weapon or tell, I feel the need to be like, "Da, do you guys see that?" And it's like, there's always something happening on the internet about me. No, there's not. No, there's not. Okay, I really don't care who you are. Like, if you're not Lindsay Lohan, okay, how is it true that, like, I'm a nobody on the internet? How could you guys expect that this would blow up? I never saw this coming. To, like, there's always something about me. You know me and Maddie Hart. There's always something going on.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that kind of happens when you have millions of followers like you do.
Yeah, because we all know that I have trillions of billions of followers. I'm actually the most famous woman alive. It's actually shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, where are they even getting this information? I don't know, but maybe they're getting it from God.
Well, speaking of God, can you kind of explain a little bit of the controversy, more so for my dad, who is a preacher, because he, I want him to be up to date as he's listening to this episode.
Of course. Okay, so for anybody who is listening who doesn't know me, which is probably most people because I'm literally not famous.
Nah, millions of followers.
That's not true. Unfortunately, though, I have become semi-famous literally just in like Republican hate circles. Most recently,
Sorry, but I gotta, because that's another weapon. I don't remember the exact fallacy of it, but it's a tool that people will try to do to deflect from what's going on, is they'll pretend like the only people who could possibly disagree with what they're saying are bad people. I'm not saying that all Republicans are bad, but Maddie thinks so, and Maddie is also trying to appeal to like-minded people. Maddie has a lot of resentment toward Republicans, and so what she is trying to push as her narrative, basically sell to us, is that the only people who are side-eyeing her story, maybe like a little bit skeptical of her revision of events, must be these like super far right, like hateful, worst versions of humanity. These are the only places that do not like her. And it's just, I just have to point that one out.
I made a video about my dad because my dad abandoned my family when I was little, and he like went on to become a pretty famous breakdancer. And I made a video that was like very funny, tongue-in-cheek about that. But because my dad is like...
You notice how she had to change her narrative, though. But what she's going to try and do is make it sound like it was her idea to string it this way the whole time. It used to be, he abandoned my family to become a famous breakdancer. And now, because he's literally disproved her statement, she has to change it to, he abandoned my family and then happened to become a famous breakdancer. Like
a huge Republican, huge Bitcoiner. He's estranged. Like, he's so bizarre.
The false dilemma fallacy. Ooh, can I get the full definition of that? Sorry, this is for my own education. You have to allow me to learn. The false dilemma fallacy, sometimes called the either-or fallacy. A false dilemma is a logical fallacy that presents only two options or sides, are in fact many options or sides.
But he's like Trump. He's like is a huge like Trump fan. It's pretty disgusting and hate.
Again, why did this become political? It's funny because it's like she's actually making a good case that he wasn't there, because this is a lot of fatherless behavior.
He has this sort of cultish following around him. So when I kind of made a joke like, oh, my dad like left and did this thing, like I did start to get literally thousands of death threats from like Elon Musk.
God, that's like 3 or 4 tools in a row right there. First of all, this cultish following. What are you talking about, dude? Your dad had like way less people following him than you when this all started. Anybody who watches his breakdancing is not like in it for the Benihana. They're like, oh my God, there's an old dude busting moves. That's pretty entertaining. It's not like anybody was like, we will offer our firstborn daughter to this man as soon as she is of age. Like right away into saying, oh, he has this cult following, when all I did was make a silly little joke Like, the absolute minimization of what she actually did, which she admitted she did. She admitted that it is that deep, that she actually was trying to out someone who she's essentially calling her abuser. It is that deep, but now she's saying, oh, but it was just a silly little joke, so I don't even know why anybody would be mad. And I hate when people use this as well. Oh, well, I got death threats, so that makes me the victim. If you post public videos, you're going to get the worst parts of the internet. And I know you're not new to this. You've literally been making YouTube videos for like a decade now, if the timeline is syncing up. You've been on the internet. You know how this works. You don't get to say, all of this is my dad's fault.
How many videos, Maddie, do you have on YouTube now?
About 54.
And what is your goal?
One day I want to be a partner.
What does that mean?
It means you get paid to make videos. Yeah.
Fans, Bitcoin fans, Trump fans being like, you bitch, you lying whore, like
Bitcoin catching strays here.
your dad is literally awesome sauce. Like,
Oh God.
he like posted this video being like, my viral famous daughter. Again, not true. I'm literally not famous.
The situation became viral, and therefore his name became famous. It's exaggerated, but it's not wrong.
sometimes post on TikTok. He's like, my famous daughter is dragging me through the mud. And in the video that he posted, he's like wearing a Bitcoin t-shirt. He has an American flag behind him. Like, he's like ripping me to shreds, and it's pretty iconic. Oh, and then Elon Musk responded to my dad's video being like, you're awesome. Like, you're an awesome dad. You're awesome. So that
he literally just said, you're awesome. Just one time. That's all he said.
got all of the Elon Musk fans after me. It was sort of just a whole controversial moment in my life.
Here's a thought, because you're a screenwriter at Netflix. That's what I read.
But of course.
Yeah.
And you read that and you believed it. So
yeah. So this should be your screenplay, right? It could be
I'm working on it.
but it could be part of the step
So she says that facetiously, as if she's joking. Just remember that.
up franchise because there's dancing.
Yes. I should
Oh, that's a new hook.
I should absolutely pitch that.
That's crazy. I feel like Blair and I, like, truly, we might get, like, one comment that's like, we got a comment literally on a TikTok yesterday that was like, wow, there's too many podcasts or something like that. Both of us were like, what the hell? Like, this is like, we can barely tolerate anything. So,
I
like,
cried in the shower.
how do you, like, tolerate this? Do you just, like, block it out?
The dad stuff is the worst because it's like my actual real life. So
Yeah.
honestly, the dad controversy has been the hardest to deal with
Yeah.
because like it is hard having people in my comments who don't know anything.
To clear up this question, she's a screenwriter for Netflix. He seemed to think so. She kind of cleared that up by saying, no, I'm just an assistant. Honestly, I have so many theories about what this could be. It could just be a simple misunderstanding of him, like misunderstanding her career. Like, to be honest with you, I still don't fully understand what either my mom or dad do all of the time for their jobs. I like vaguely know what they do. You know what I'm saying? It could just be a misunderstanding. It could be that she inflated her role while speaking to her dad. Also in line with her character so far. As I said earlier, was like, my dad is such an idiot for thinking I'm a screenwriter, and then being facetious and being like, as if I would write a screenplay about this. Just remember that.
Being like, your dad is awesome. Meanwhile, like me in my group chat with my actual family were like, this guy's a narcissist. He's actually scary. Like, he sucks. So that's hard to have people commenting as if,
Whew, that escalated quickly. He's a narcissist. He's scary. He sucks. Care to elaborate? No. Anyway.
they know me, like as if they know the situation just from like literal like small videos posted online or whatever. Like, so that kind of sucks. And I am still dealing with
How dare you think you know this situation just from small videos that you've seen that I myself posted?
that. But honestly, this and the Fox News thing kind of sucked too. Like, obviously I don't want my videos being made fun of on Fox News. Like, that attracts so many like misogynistic and like homophobic people to my page. But what I try to do whenever my shit goes viral on the wrong side is I just kind of try.
Whenever it just goes viral, this happens to me all the time, but I'm not famous.
And like own it. Like with the Fox News thing, I literally just made like Maddie Hart on Fox News like merchandise.
Yeah, I saw
which
that.
is fun. And even with the
Ew, I hate Republicans. So anyway, this is how I capitalized off of the situation by selling merch.
it's like breakdancing dad stuff. It's so bizarre and it's so ridiculous. And like, yeah, like I literally am writing a screenplay about it. Like, and I've been working on that screenplay for like months.
Ew, my dad is so stupid for thinking I'm a screenwriter. Oh my god, wouldn't that be so stupid if I wrote a screenplay? So anyway, guys, if you guys want to like see the screenplay that I'm writing about this, the most bombastic of side eyes for that one, ma'am.
Just like at a certain point, block out the haters, hater shades on.
Classic.
Okay, own the narrative, reclaim my breakdancing dad narrative, and just try and not take it
I have to reclaim the narrative.
too seriously. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like you have
But
to,
he's the
like,
narcissist.
internet people are literally fake. They don't know anything. So whatever, they can have their opinions. But it's crazy for sure. And it's crazy.
That's an amazing deflection tool that it's almost like only someone who's been well trained by an actual narcissist would know to use if I just dehumanize everyone who disagrees with me entirely as people, I'll be emotionally cushioned approach. Now, who tends to use that one, I wonder?
To watch a 10-minute video of my dad breakdancing on his head in front of a Bitcoin flag and being like, he's like, my daughter's a liar. Like, I didn't leave her family to breakdance. And then he like breakdances in front of a Bitcoin flag.
Oh my god.
So it's like bizarre.
But you skipped the part of the video where that all disproved what you said, though.
It's like uncanny valley. It's crazy.
Well, with all this insane controversy going on, you have been getting a ton of free press in conservative media, not always good, and they've used several different descriptors. So we pulled a couple today to see what you might think of them.
Stop. I love this.
Okay, so the first one, successful Hollywood screenwriter at Netflix.
I love that description. It's something that was used about me. Completely false. Obviously false. I am not a successful screenwriter. I do not write for Netflix. I don't even know what that means, writing for Netflix. But sort of seeing and writing, yeah, successful Hollywood screenwriter for Netflix. Definitely, it felt like a manifestation for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's coming. It's coming.
Okay, so the next one. Maddie has millions of followers on TikTok.
I
Let's
like
skip through a little bit of this.
Self-proclaimed comedian is shady as hell.
Like, what was your first thought when you heard that?
Like, why do you have to say it like that? Like, why can't you just say comedian? Like, you can't give me what? Like, you're already dragging me on national news.
Maybe, do you think a comedian is kind of like
This is a good question,
you have to,
actually.
like, do it a certain amount of time, like a New Yorker, you have to live in New York a certain amount of time to be a New Yorker. Do you think that there's an amount of time to be considered a comedian?
I actually love that question as a former stand-up comedian. As someone who's done some stand-up, I'm kind of like, that is a really good question, though. I would love to hear what people think. Like, because there's a transition period between self-proclaimed comedian and comedian. I just don't know where exactly it is. I don't think it's exactly a time frame so much as like a how many open mics have you done? Have you ever booked a show? Have you ever opened for someone? Once you actually have gotten your first gig, even if it's like $20, that is when you get to start saying comedian, which I'm sure Maddie's made. I'm actually going to give her the credit. I'm pretty sure that she probably can, because I have seen some of her stand up.
Smitten Lib Chick.
Smitten Lib Chick is really good. Again, that's something that I was called by the Republican media outlets. I was called a smitten lib chick because I posted a video being like, this man paid for my food and it was really hot. Like, I'm not a feminist anymore because this man is hot because he paid for me. Really easy, stupid joke. They called me a smitten lib chick.
This is not the most unhinged part.
I love that I got to screenshot it and send it to that guy who I'd only been on one date with. And I love to be like, hey, this is funny.
Wait, what was his response to it?
He loved it. We went on to see each other for months.
Oh,
he's perfect.
fell in love.
This is honestly where, again, I say she really actually sells me on the fact that she could potentially be fatherless, is in this segment of the podcast right here.
And this is a game where we are going to present some different scenarios for you, and you're going to deem them heaven, hell, or if you're kind of indifferent.
This is about to get so wild, you guys.
For every single one of our other
I can't.
guests, we have done scenarios which are hypothetical. And you are our very first guest today that these scenarios, I believe, as a fan, are from real life. Now you can say this, breaking news, they are hypothetical, but a
lot of it's exaggerated, but it's all real.
We're about to play a game called Heaven or Hell, talking about situations, but this time they said they're doing something a little different. They've pulled from situations that Maddie has discussed on her social media to play this game, to which Maddie very quickly makes sure to warn us almost. Well, a lot of it's exaggerated, but it's all real, she says. Take me with you on this journey. Are you implying that there is not a difference between an exaggerated story and the real story? Would you appreciate it if the real story that you got on something was the exaggerated version because it's basically the same thing?
Wait, you just ruined the illusion for me.
Yeah, I'm a different. Internet Maddie isn't real.
Blair, do you want to start?
Well, that's convenient. Guys, trust me, bro. Trust me. I'm telling the truth. Why don't you believe me? You guys are not fact checking. You guys are not making sure that this is the real story. However, nothing's real. But believe me.
This out with. And you're going to kind of say if this scenario actually in life was heaven, hell, or purgatory
Okay, great.
for you. Okay.
Posting on Hinge that you need a ride to LAX and having your first date together be sharing a ride to the airport.
That was purgatory. Yes, I absolutely did that.
I'm sorry, Maddie, you what? You needed a ride to the airport, so you created an entire dating profile on Hinge just to ask a stranger for a ride? Just so that you wouldn't have to pay for a taxi.
Needed a ride to the airport. I'm
It
broke
gets
as
worse.
hell, so I did just post on Hinge being like, can somebody drive me to the airport tomorrow? And the sweetest man, there was no physical attraction, but truly the sweetest man drove me, and we made a Spotify blend and we listened to it, and I bought him coffee on the way and we gabbed, and it was great. I would do it again 100%.
Have you talked to him?
Do you think he would do it again, though? What do you guys think? Do you think the guy that wasted so much of his life on this just so that he could give some chick a ride who had absolutely no intention of actually dating him, do you think he would do it again, though?
Since?
Yeah, we texted a little bit, but I was like, oh, this is more of a friend vibe. I'm so sorry.
Did you kind of think about hitting him up on the leg back?
No, that felt exploitative.
Yeah.
That's
twice to the same.
Yeah, that's where we draw the line. She puts the heart in heart, you know what I mean? That was big of her.
Guy, like, no. One time it's like, oh, it's fun. It's like, we're listening to music. I'm buying you coffee. It's like a fun time. But to do it twice felt weird.
Yeah.
To use a guy twice felt like a little bit much. The first time that I absolutely exploited him, I felt like I could get away with it. But if I do it again, people will start to catch on that I'm exploiting people.
Ex picked me up on the way back.
I will say when I was
Wait, what? No. I would not dare ask him again. Of course I hit up my ex to get me on the way back. Of course. Duh.
Series. Oh, look at me showboating. I one time casted a guy I matched with Tinder from that to be in my web series.
Nice.
It's
so
kind
funny.
of sad. I was just like, hey, I don't think we're a match, but will you be in my web series? And he did it.
Was he good?
Yeah, he was great. He was fine. He was
Just for listeners, some context, Maddie and I don't want to dox this on the internet, but we live kind of, I would say, an hour away from the airport to LAX. So if you're like, oh, no big deal.
It was a big deal.
It's actually really hard to get a ride to LAX. So sometimes.
That extra context, again, the extra context just makes it so much worse. Some of us were relatively close to airports. An hour? This man drove 2 hours. And so did your ex.
Sometimes you have
Okay.
to go on Hinge and ask for one.
No, Maddie, one time.
Just pay for it. Just use any of the $2 million to just pay for an Uber instead of like pulling on these weird emotional strings of people that you already have money. You don't need to do all that.
She got mad at me because I was like, can't you pick me up at the airport when I came to LA?
Okay, he said this. He came in for our show, but he wanted me to pick him up at the airport at 5 p.m. on my birthday.
Okay, I didn't.
On my birthday.
I didn't make you. I suggested it. I lightly suggested it.
And I was like, I actually want to go to dinner and I don't want to drive for 2 to 3
2.5 hours
on my birthday.
I get both sides, to be honest.
But would you
I
do
get
that
both
on
sides.
your birthday?
I would probably not, but I do get both sides. I get why he asked.
It wasn't like a major birthday, but it was one.
I don't think he did anything wrong by asking.
Thank you,
But I don't
thank
think
you,
you
thank
did
you.
anything wrong by saying no.
No, yeah, it's fine to ask. And also, when you're coming from out of town, you have no clue how far that airport is.
Oh, did you hear that? She basically just called me stupid. Okay, next one.
Well,
A man paying to go on a date with you so he can make his ex-wife jealous, specifically doing an activity on the date his ex likes to make her more jealous.
These are not normal stories to all happen to one person. I'm sorry. And you agreed to this, Maddie? Tell me no.
Gosh, that was content heaven. Like, I truly was.
You going on a date with a married man specifically designed around doing activities that she loves with the intention of being caught in order to emotionally manipulate her. And again, you know about this from the jump of the date. This isn't something he like slyly snuck in or you found out about after the fact. This is something that you are being told up front because he is paying you to do it. You consider that content heaven, the trauma farming business that she is starting up.
Was like, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened. Like, this man literally paid me like $400 to go on a fake date with him. Like, literally, we only hung out for like 30 minutes. Just we took pictures. Like, at her favorite, she always loved going to like the Disney lights, and so that's where we went. And he like took pictures of us at the Disney lights, but it was kind of interpersonal hell just because he was really awkward, and it was like just a very, very awkward and weird scenario. So maybe purgatory neutral.
So, do you have any
I know a lot of you are starting to like immediately think of what that would be for you. Like, what would be your Disney lights in that scenario? But like, this is something that was honest to God so special to that woman. Like, I feel like we've all had that place that's like, this is a restaurant that like me and this person went to together. Like, that is our place. So for you to take someone else there is like such an ultimate betrayal, like so hurtful. Like, you did that on purpose, like just to hurt me. But like something big like this, and you're taking pictures, like this is all so intentional. And to you, you're like, I mean, it wasn't like as good of a time as I thought it would be, so I guess I feel pretty neutral about it. Like, if there was more of a payoff though, I would definitely do it again. I'm gonna throw up.
date on this?
You know what's crazy? And I have to post about this on TikTok. We were supposed to go on another date, do the same thing, but like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. These pictures that were to make her jealous made her really, really jealous, but to the point where she was like, we need to completely cut contact. This isn't healthy anymore. Like, I'm telling you about my new boyfriend, and you're telling me about your new girlfriend, and like, this isn't right. I don't think we should talk anymore. I think we should just both like be 100% in our new relationships.
So you guys are really going to commit now. You're going to move in, right? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think like every good relationship starts with a fake girlfriend being paid hundreds of dollars to make an ex jealous.
Okay, Blair, we can do rapid round maybe for the last few.
Your ex-boyfriend musician is releasing a new album, and every song isn't about you, but about his girlfriend before you.
Hell. I'll need therapy forever.
I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised that the strongest reaction to any of these stories that she's had, exploiting multiple men who are interested in her solely to suck them of their resources and time for her own gain. I guess she bought a guy coffee, makes her feel nothing, causing possibly like very long lasting deep-seated, extremely nefarious emotional damage to an innocent woman makes her feel nothing. But the hypothetical concept of not being the centerpiece of an ex-boyfriend's world causes her to crumble.
Hell.
Okay, fair enough. Hooking up with someone who won't let you ever sleep over, and when you ask to stay the night, he says, you can sleep in the car.
Hell. Well, purgatory rising, hell.
Did you sleep in the car or no?
No.
Okay.
I went home.
That story, I'm like, this is a killer.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that actually happened to her. She went on a date, hooked up with a guy, and he asked her to sleep in the car. You know her dad is watching this. As a dad, if this was your daughter, what would you be thinking right now, like, watching this? And this is not doing Betsy any favors. Like, I know she's trying to say, like, my mother was Mother of the Year. She raised us right all on her own. I don't know if this... I don't think this made it into the mom's memoir book that she was selling for how she manages to juggle it all.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? He's
Well,
like a psychopath.
when he wouldn't let you be in any other car, I was like, I'm glad you're still alive.
He was a weirdo. But he was pretty hot. I don't know.
That's so hard. When they're hot, it's hard. It's hard.
What celebrity hot? Like, who would you compare him to?
Not really Timothy Chalamet, but that type.
Okay, like a Wish version.
Wish version for sure, but like pretty boy, pretty.
Yeah.
Had a really cute dog. Again.
And your final one. Having to learn a new tap dancing move every time you have the impulse to text your ex.
That's heaven. I love tap dancing. Picked up tap dancing after
This is where it gets interesting.
like a horrible breakup a few years ago. I love it so much. And yeah, I just do it every time I'm sad.
Isn't it so weird and goofy and Looney Tunes that my dad, who I don't care about at all, picked up breakdancing after going through something really big in his life that became life-changing and empowering for him? Isn't it so weird of him to do? So anyway, I picked up tap dancing, of all things, after a big breakup, and I've really found it to be so empowering. Anyway, let's make fun of my dad for sharing an interest and passion very similar to me.
Did it work? Would you say that's like a good thing?
Yeah, totally work. Tap dancing works. For what? I don't know.
I feel like people would be like, I want to text them, I'm going to do like 10,000 crunches or push-ups or whatever. But you're actually bravely saying it's actually tap dancing
and
is
now
what
I'm learning a
is what solves
like now I'm learning a
heartbreak.
time step. Like now I'm learning a, riff walk. Like now it's like I'm picking up skills.
Okay, so Maddie, we've invited you on our podcast today, and I think you know why. You've done something that is, maybe it's hard to tell if you're in the right or the wrong. So whenever you're ready, launch into your story.
One morally questionable thing I've done is this was a while ago. For legal reasons, this was a while ago.
Oh no.
Got it.
In a past life.
This is 20 years ago. It's a completely different girl. Okay, so basically, I had this pretty toxic on and off relationship, situationship type deal. Like it honestly was so muddy, so murky, and it was like on and off for months and months and months. And I was toxic and he was toxic. Like I first was the one being like avoidant, like I didn't really want to date, but then like I did want to date, and then he was the one being like, nope, don't want that anymore. Like it was just very like toxic on and off, but then we kind of continued to hook up, kind of continued to date. Like it was very messy. Eventually he broke up with me. Bad behavior.
Clean cut.
Have him come on, tell
bad
we'll have
behavior.
him
on next week.
I was blindsided after months of being toxic on and off.
This is like a very interesting thing I want you to pay attention to is he literally told her, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, but yet he broke up with her. How do you break up with someone you're not dating?
But anyway, he would do this thing even during us seeing each other where he would sort of bring up other girls. Like it was weird. Like he was definitely made me feel very insecure all the time. So after we broke up, I went very insane and I just got obsessed with the idea that he was gonna like immediately hook up with other people, which I'm sure he did. Like that's literally normal. I also did that. But the idea of him doing that made me sick to my stomach. So
rules for thee, but not for me. Always with these people.
I was basically trying to figure out if he was talking to new bitches. And he's one of those guys who's like barely on Instagram. Like I'm on Instagram, like I live and breathe Instagram.com. Like I literally love it. I love to post on there. I love to follow. I love to be followed. Like I literally love Instagram so much. But he's somebody who would like only follow somebody on Instagram if they were like important to him. Like he honestly didn't even follow a lot of his friends. Like he really just like never ever used Instagram. But he would follow people that he like matched with. Like I know that because when we met first, like, you know.
I want you to pay attention to two things she just said. He will follow people that he matches with. So we know that they met through a dating website. But wait, I thought that the only reason that you downloaded dating apps was because you needed a ride. I'd have thought you didn't use them outside of that. Anyway, the first story she tells, he follows her.
Started dating, like obviously he followed me. So like I knew that he followed women who he was interested in. What I did is I went onto my tap dancing Instagram that I run, my tap dancing account.
Okay.
And because I didn't want to do this for my main account, I felt like that could be traceable. Like if one of his friends went to randomly check on my profile and then realized that they were blocked, like that would be really weird. So I had to go to my second account, my tap dancing account, and I had to block every single person that he was following. That way, anytime he followed a new girl, I would be able to see because who he was following would go from 0 to 1. So whenever he followed somebody new, they would be the only account on the list.
Are you guys catching this? You went through. This must have taken ages. She has his friends list up. She has to pull up her block list. If she has 2 screens, she'll be able to maximize the time a little bit faster. But let's say she's just working on her phone. She has to reference the friends page, then go back to her profile, which is like back, a few taps. Go into the profile, go into the privacy, go into the block list, manually type the name, wait for it to either show up, find it, make sure you're spelling it correctly, block them, go back to the friends list, check on the next one 150 times at probably the lowest, and then keep doing that over and over again. Like, Dad, I highly, highly, highly recommend maybe going back and offering that therapy again. If you got some extra dollars, I think it could help.
Drove me insane.
Yeah.
Oh, it drove
I'm glad
me
she's aware,
insane.
though. Points for self-awareness.
So I blocked everyone. And so honestly, every day for months and months, I would check and see if he followed anybody new. And he never did. Like, he never did because, again, like, he never followed new people. One day, he does follow somebody new. He follows somebody new, and she's a beautiful woman. So what do? Like, I couldn't tell if she lived in LA. Like, I couldn't tell, like, any of her deal.
Good.
So I just, like, stalked her so hard to figure out, like, who the hell she was. She had no, like, signifiers on her account. So
Did you guys ever hear about that story about, like, the astronaut woman who, like, drove all day for 12 hours wearing a diaper so that she could try to kidnap her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend? It's giving that.
Went to, like, her tagged photos. I, like, went to her best friend's account, stalked her best friend. Eventually found out through her best friend's account that her best friend was, like, still in high school or, like, had just graduated high school. Like, this was, like, a young girl. So then through that, I figured out the high school name. Was able to Google the high school name plus this girl's.
Could you imagine if a full-grown man was telling this story? Just that one detail changes. And he was describing not only doing that very complicated method of ensuring that he knows of every single new person that you add on social media methodically, but also, like, stalking high school children. Like, you found out that they were high school age, and then you kept going.
Name, found out that she had, like, just been on the varsity team for her high school. Like, she was very much, like, 18 years old. So either one, my ex
What in the Dan Schneider? I have goosebumps. Ugh.
was being a creep. Or 2,
I repel
has,
this.
like, I don't know, he has sisters and cousins who are that age. Like, I'm like, maybe this girl is, like, I don't even know. This girl didn't even, like, live in our state. Like, I don't know, but maybe he was creeping on her because she was hot. But she was so young.
All he did was add someone. He added someone that could possibly have been his cousin because you were never actually that close. You literally just hooked up. You never met his extended family. And now you're calling that person who is a stranger and a minor whose entire school history you have memorized, you are calling her hot. 18 is an adult, though. I mean, I guess.
Young.
Okay.
So I realized that I didn't think they were hooking up, but also you never know.
Okay,
But she had
so-
amazing skin.
Yeah.
Because she's 18.
course.
So that made me
Okay.
insecure. And I bought a new retinol cream. But why was my ex needing to follow a senior in high school? Like that I still don't know. But either
But even though what I did was so unhinged, his behavior was weird, so I'm a little bit validated in it, don't you think? The mental gymnastics these people are capable of is such a gross misuse of intelligence.
way the fact that she was a senior in high school made me feel better because I was like, well, I'm 24, like I'm old,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
That made you feel better?
Well, just to clarify, this was after you guys had broken up, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had broken up, but we were very much still talking. I'll say that.
Actually, no, because you never broke up because you were never dating.
Are you still talking to this ex now?
No.
Would you want to be? Is this something you would like to rekindle, or is this something?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say, okay, so would you say after kind of like a little stalking spree,
Right.
would it make you feel worse or better? Like, would it make you feel a little more secure, like when either you didn't see he was following anyone new?
It would make me feel so much better when I did the stalking and realized there were no new girls on the radar. But it made me feel a lot worse. There was one time where the girl was legitimate and I found out through mutual friends that they were like going on a date. Like that made me actually sort of want to be dead in a ditch.
Right.
And that was when I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't stalk him anymore. And literally since then, I haven't actually stalked him that deeply.
So you said he followed you
Nice.
when you guys started dating.
Yeah.
How quick?
Right away. Like the second we started talking, he followed me.
Okay.
Which is how I knew like if he's talking to somebody, he might follow them.
And can you define talking as like literally like you're just texting before
Yeah.
a date?
Again, she's reiterated. He followed me right away, like immediately. And that's how I knew that, like, if he's really interested in someone, because he was so interested in me, he will follow them right away.
Texting flirty before a date.
And he asked you for your Instagram?
I followed him on Instagram, then he followed me back.
Can we agree that you going out of your way to look someone up and being the first one to follow someone is so much different than following someone back who already requested to follow you? Can we just... This is basic social media stuff. Like, this is baseline stuff. Come on.
Okay, so you were the kind of one to initiate the follow.
Right, there's variables for sure.
I do have a question about
Yeah, I guess there's some variables to it.
your second Instagram account,
Right.
which is tap dancing.
It's videos and pictures. I mean, it's an assortment of media
Okay.
and it's private. Only like 50 people follow it. You guys are both welcome to follow. And I post updates to my tap dancing progress.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure, because if you are doing like the investigating and the stalking, is this a page that he could like figure out belongs to you?
He knows that page belongs to me.
But there's no way he would know that
Right.
she's blocked anyone because she didn't block him.
Right.
Until
Okay.
now.
But okay, I guess, did you start your tap dancing to not text an ex before or after this incident?
This is like a different ex. Like I have like a million exes.
This is where it gets so
And I'm
weird.
obsessed.
That's literally amazing.
I have a million exes, and I refer to everyone as my ex. If we talk once, you're my ex.
Really?
Like, really, I'm like this. These are my exes. Like, so you.
This is also a staple of narcissistic behavior. This is also a huge tell because people under this delusion, this illness, they see people as like Pokemon cards to collect, basically. So again, she's telling the truth. If you so much as talk to her, like, she will consider you a collection. She's telling the truth.
You never know who I'm talking about when I talk about this. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm like my ex. Could be, and it could be you. Like, could be anyone.
Wow. I actually don't refer to anyone as an ex.
Really?
Yeah, I actually just say that's somebody.
No, I'm like, that's my ex. Like,
I-
we matched on Hinge.
I just
That's my ex.
I really feel like the word ex is like so sad to me, and also I'm like, if anyone ever called that about me, which they
Wow.
could, but I'm like, that's like so disturbing. I'm like, say something nicer.
That's so funny. I call everybody an ex, and it's kind of a joke. I have my main character exes who are like real exes. Yeah. Who like dated for years or whatever. Like that's like a main character ex. But like
she talks about her real life like it's an actual fan fiction. Like there's the real part of her life, and then there's the fan fiction that she just like tells people.
The person I'm talking about, again, it was like on and off and weird for like months. Yeah. Like it's like, is that really an ex? And like the tap dancing I actually started after a real main character ex breakup.
Okay.
And then there was like this situationship later that I actually started being like, okay, now every time I want to text them, I'll start doing a tap move instead. Like, it's like whatever, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes
that's healthy.
Sometimes you're not. Like, I don't know.
Well, I guess my question with the count is like, you started to do it. Like,
sometimes reality is this, sometimes reality is that. It's whatever. It's just a silly, goofy time.
Like, that account is like this pure thing to get over. And
why is she rubbing her arm? I read your name is David Based, and I was like, it is Based.
Right. And so using it kind of then to try to stalk an ex, I'm like, well, that wasn't the original intent of tap dancing.
That is so true, because I did start tap dancing to heal from a breakup. And so the fact that it's like, then I'm weaponizing that same account.
Yeah.
Maybe that's bad behavior.
Well,
I mean, and how long would you say this was going on for? Like, what is the timeline of which you started?
The stalking?
Yeah.
2 months. Yeah. 2 months. And I did it for as long as I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And now I haven't done it in forever.
I feel like my take always with getting over things is kind of like do whatever you need to do, even if it's maybe harmful for a little bit. But
I just think I really like to hurt my own feelings. Like I really... No, I know,
don't.
but I do think that that's true. And you know, I'm about to turn 25. And I feel my frontal lobe like clicking. So I'm starting to want to do that less. But ages like 22, 23, 24, like literally just always like, it's like my grief is a bruise.
She's getting
and
there.
I press it to see if it still hurts. Like
totally. I think that one of the joys in this modern world is stalking someone online. And
if you're going to be online, like grow up. Like
grow up.
Your ex-girlfriend is going to stalk you.
What do you guys think about that take? Are you kind of the same mentality of like, grow up? Like if you post your business publicly online, anyone's allowed to view it, so you can't be mad. The only thing you can be mad at is if you made it private and then I still find a way in. Then you can be mad. But do you guys kind of agree with that? Because I will admit I kind of agree with it. I won't go so far as to agree that like one of the greatest joys in life is stalking your ex. I'm not gonna agree with all of that. No way.
Really, like, nothing like a joy to be a little investigator. And I've never even heard of the tactic you had said about the blocking. I will never do that.
No, but you should do it.
Sounds so scary. I never follow any.
Did I hear her right? Did she just say you should do it? She would recommend the intricately blocking every single person your ex adds for the sole purpose that you will then be able to see every new person they add method. You would recommend that to other women. It is a sickness.
This is a sickness of the highest order.
When I'm interested. So like, I just would hope that's the same for them. I say this, follow when we get married. Don't look at my account before, but I think ultimately I'm going to say good behavior because you learned your lesson. I think the only caveat is like, I don't love that you were using your tap dancing for ill, but I think it's fine and you learned your lesson. Ultimately this...
Did she though? Did she? Because I'm pretty sure she literally just recommended more people keep doing that. So that's basically the podcast. The podcast is called Bad Behavior. The point is that you come on with a story and they ultimately determine if what you have done is considered bad behavior. And apparently this entire podcast is just a toxic echo chamber from hell, because the final outcome from her describing how she methodically and psychotically texted an ex, doesn't regret it though, because he might have followed an 18-year-old and would recommend other people do it. They say that that's good behavior. My faith has withered. Now, there has been another response, and he kind of goes into some more details. We also learn that one of the big reasons that he missed a couple years right after the divorce was because during the divorce, he was actually sent to jail for a year. Feel free to watch the video. It's right here, but the TLDR on that is after the $2 million, after the $18,000 a month in child support, Ben agreed to an additional gift payment of one $100,000 lump sum. Ben states that the reason that he did this was because he wanted his ex-wife Betsy to remain a stay-at-home mother so the kids could have a consistent figure, and he was happy to make this as financially amicable of a split and arrangement as he possibly could, which it does seem as though he tried to be pretty amicable financially. I will say that. However, a lot of this was based around the fact that he knew that he had a business, and so he could always just make more money. So at the end of all of the arrangement, at the end of all of the documents and things that he shares here, we learned that Ben gave Betsy 97% of the marital assets, which altogether came out to about $4 million between everything, with the promise of an additional optional that he wrote into the paperwork. Didn't have to do it. He just wanted to. $100,000. Now, the $4 million went and got paid, but the $100,000 was filed after the fact and was expected later. But by the time he was expected to pay it, he couldn't. And the reason was, during the divorce proceeding, the original $4 million agreement wasn't enough for Betsy Hart. She didn't think that that was all the juice that she could squeeze out of Ben. She was convinced that he had more hidden finances elsewhere out there. So what did she do? She subpoenaed every single one of Ben's clients in his business in order to legally grill them on if they knew where Ben could be hiding money. By effect, because not many people like being pulled into ugly divorce litigation by someone they're doing business with, Ben lost the vast majority of his clients at that time and wasn't actually able to pay that last $100,000. So he goes to trial and he name drops the judge and everything in this video. You get to see her face, all that. The judge says, "When are you going to pay Betsy Hart her $100,000?" He says, "As soon as I can." She asks again, No. What is the exact date that you will be paying Betsy Hart her $100,000? He says again, "I do not have an exact date, just as soon as I can." She doesn't believe him. She asks one final time, "What is the exact date and time that you are going to be paying Betsy Hart her $100,000? And he just said, "I don't know what else to tell you. As soon as I can is the best I can give you." So what does she do to help secure Betsy Hart's $100,000 to make sure she really gets it? Sentences Ben to 1 full year in jail. You know how easy it is? You know how much better it is to make money from jail? You know how you'll get that money so much faster from behind bars? I really want you guys to think about this too, because I think a lot of us can relate to the absolute emotional pain and devastation that Betsy must have felt when she was the one being divorced. To have your husband, the father of your 4 children, leave you for some other woman has got to be one of the most devastating things imaginable. It's truly, I think, probably a lot of women's biggest fear. That being said, objectively received one of the greatest, most beautiful and glorious divorce settlements of American family court history. On the other side of that coin, this man spent a year of not only his life, but of 4 childhoods locked away behind bars purely on the basis of your greed. You could have easily filed to say, "I'll take the $100,000 in payments over time. You can just lump it in with the alimony and child support." But due to her greed and her refusal to believe that $4 million was all she could get, she chose depriving her 4 children of their father's active and consistent presence for an entire year, for 4 whole seasons. That's not something I could easily get past either. And yet, as soon as he got out, what did he do? He not only got a place as close to you as he could, but he pretty much chased you around, didn't he? I mean, wherever your mom went, he went too. He never stopped showing up. It might not have been as consistent as your mom. He never stopped paying for things, obviously, and he has the receipts to prove that. And after that last podcast video, I could see how a daughter and a father might have a strained relationship due to political differences, right? Especially these last couple of presidencies. There's been a lot to take to task and a lot of differing opinions, and I can see how those would be some touchy subjects for a lot of people. But it's not lost on me that Maddie didn't bring up Trump or Republicans or right-leaning media once in her original video. The original video was, "My dad abandoned me to become a breakdancing star and never paid for my medical bills." And whether you love Ben or hate Ben, I think we can agree that every single one of those things is not true. Despite her best attempts to explain herself, come up with a reason for why that was okay to do. Maybe she holds some resentment toward her dad for not being there maybe as much as he should. To my most charitable of interpretations, I can certainly see someone holding on to that. It can be so hard to grow up and see your dad move out, especially with some other woman. And if you're even remotely feeling that way and you have a mom who's telling you that that's the case, your dad abandoned us for some other woman, she cares about this other woman more than you, that can be such a poison that you end up drinking and it just stays in your gut and it causes this lifelong damage. I can understand a lot of pain that Maddie likely feels. Doesn't explain the bold-faced lies, though. And I think at this point, she's just in so deep. She's committed so hard that she's in the state where it's like she can't go back now. She can't step away from this narrative because it's been her whole life developing. She's taken it so far that for her to actually step back and go, wait, why did I feel so comfortable telling those lies? Why did I take such a gross exaggeration and present it as my reality? And who taught me to do that? For her to actually step back and ask those questions, it's facing that reality, taking the accountability at this point is going to hurt so much more. It's so much easier to just keep the mask on and to keep up the illusion, no matter how many mental gymnastics it takes or manipulative tactics to get away from it. Because the truth of saying, maybe I experienced parental alienation, maybe I got gaslit and believed so much of a poisonous, exaggerated version of the truth that it's caused me to lash out in all of the wrong ways. And I think the fear of how that's going to damage her relationship with her mother, with her siblings, what it means for her relationship with her dad, having to admit she was wrong at all, is just the final tap move Maddie's just never gonna learn,